So are you planning a home redesign? And if you are you wasting your time in the way that you're going about preparing for that? What is it that you're doing? I'd love to know. Pop in the comments below. Let me know, what have you been doing so far in preparation for your home redesign? I am going to talk through 3 different things that I see people do a lot when they're preparing for their redesign, and these are things that seem logically to be the things that you should do, that the best way to start, but often are actually more of a waste of your time and not going to get you moving forwards. They're going to keep you feeling stuck and overwhelmed because they're not going to give you the information that you need. And I'm going to then give you some ideas about how you can go about preparing for your home redesign in a way that is going to make the most use of your time, so that you are being effective with your time and you can spend your time, that precious that precious finite resource that you have, on just doing what you really need to do. Because as a homeowner and client who is creating your home, afresh, you have a really, really important role to play in your home redesign, a role that you're the only person able to play that role. But most people working with you are not going to explain to you what that role is and what those important things that you need to do are. And fundamentally, it's about decision making, but it's about making the right decisions at the right time. And that is the basic fundamentals of it. And so what I'm going to go through the 3 different things that I see. I'd love to know, what is it that you have been doing to prepare for your home design? I'm curious to see if you are doing one of these 3 things, if you're doing something else entirely. I'd be really interested to know what it is that you're doing, and so I can sort of see if that is something that will be useful to you, or to what extent it will be useful. So let me know below what you've been doing to prepare for your home redesign. What I wanted to start off with was telling you about a couple that I met probably now going back maybe 7 or 8 years, and I met them for the first time in my first year or so of running my architecture practice. And this couple, they were really keen to do something to their home. They'd been thinking about it for a long time. I didn't realise then quite how long they'd been thinking about it, but they'd been thinking about it, they'd been talking about it, they'd been trying to figure out what to do. And so they met with me for an exploratory chat and talked through what they were thinking about, and we had a chat, and then I didn't hear back from them. So they sort of disappeared. And then 5 years later, they got back in touch with me, and they asked me to go and do a foundation package with them. So I went. This is back before COVID, before I did these foundation design days online, and I went in person to my clients' homes. And I went and we talked about what they could do, came up with some design solutions for them, and I found out that they had been living in this home for about 25 years or a bit more. And all of that time, they bought the house with the intention of making some changes, making that home their own, making it work well for them. And for 25 years, well, for 20 years before the first time they spoke to me, they had been talking about it, trying to figure out what to do. And then they spoke with me, and then another 5 years went by before they got me back again to help them start and make some solutions. Unfortunately, they had got to this point in their relationship where there was a lot of sort of tension, and I could see that it was very difficult for them they got to the point where they had a lot of kind of built up resentment and And they were finding it very difficult to talk about what they each wanted and to get to a result, an end result. And you know, that may have been to do with the length of time that they've been talking about it and not getting a resolution, or it may have simply have been that fundamental to their relationship. But they spent a huge amount of time, like a huge portion of their lives, thinking about doing something, but not actually getting any further. And so we did the design workshop, and then I didn't hear from them again. So I have no idea if they've actually done anything to their home or not, if they're still there thinking about it, trying to figure out what to do. It's a shame. I felt very, very sorry for them to have lived in this house, which was quite an awkward house. And quite a complex house to reconfigure. It's a huge Victorian villa and had multiple levels, and it wasn't at all well suited to a modern family lifestyle at all, and it really did need some serious reconfiguration, and it was complicated. So I can understand why it was confusing and difficult for them, but some of the things that they were doing, and these are things I see many people doing. So I'm going to get into it. So the very first thing that I see people doing all the time is going onto Facebook groups, going into online forums and asking complete strangers what they should do to their homes. So this might be you. You may have posted somewhere, you know, oh, well, I'm not sure which option is best. What do you think? What should I do? And yes, you can get some, you know, useful tips from those forums, but most of the time you won't get people asking you questions. And the thing is that really what's best for you in your home is what's best for you, and no stranger who doesn't know you, who doesn't even know, you know, what colour of toast you have in the morning, or if you drink tea or coffee with your toast, or if you don't have toast at all for breakfast, you know, a stranger who doesn't know even the most basic thing about you, they're not going to be able to advise you what is best for you to do to your home. It's just not possible for them. And the only way that anybody who doesn't know you can advise you is by starting to ask lots and lots and lots of questions until they get to a point where they do understand you enough to then be able to start to offer solutions. So, you know, yes, you can get little bits of hints and tips that can be useful, but anybody answering your question in any of those forums is going to be coming to it from their own viewpoint, with their own agendas, and they might be trying to be helpful, and they may well give you some helpful advice or inspiration or hints or tips, but they're not going to be able to really help you move that forward. And what can happen is that the little nuggets of useful advice that you get are hidden amongst a whole massive array of contradictory advice and ideas, and then you become completely overwhelmed by all these different possibilities, and you don't know which one's going to suit you best. And this, you know, there's all this sort of kind of input, but that's all from people who don't know you and don't know what's best for you, because ultimately only you can decide, can assess what is going to be best for you. So by all means, go and post on Facebook groups and online forums if you want to, but I can honestly say that whilst you may get a small amount of value from doing that, it's really, it can take a lot of time. I see people spending lots and lots of time in those groups, and then what they're getting from it is just not worth the amount of time that they're spending doing that. It's not really worth it. So I would take it all with a bit of a grain of salt, and if you enjoy those conversations, then go ahead and do it. But you know, don't rely on that as a method, and certainly don't spend a lot of time doing that and worrying about what people are thinking and saying in those groups. The second thing I see people doing a lot is to try to DIY their design. Now, if you are trained in some way or you've got the skills, you've developed the skills of designing space, drawing floor plans and understanding that, translating the 3D world around us into that 2D dimensional space, then go ahead and do it. It is a skill that you can learn, and everybody, I think, is capable of learning. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who struggle with reading maps, and that is basically that skill of being able to interpret the world around us, this multi-dimensional space, into a two-dimensional plan. And if you are one of those people who struggle with reading maps and you're trying to DIY your design, I would say don't bother. It's not worth it. It will take you so much time and effort, and you don't need to do it yourself. There are plenty of people that you can get. I'm one of them, but there are many other people that you can get to design your home for you, and you don't need to waste your time trying to develop a skill that you don't have and you're not an expert in, and you've got plenty of other stuff to be getting on with. It's something that you can pay somebody else to do for you. So you can do it. I'm not saying don't do it ever. Nobody should ever try and design their own space for them. Do it if you really are enjoying it. But there are lots of things to take into account when you are designing. You need to take into account all the technical aspects: drainage, keeping you warm, keeping the rain out, structures, making sure it stands up and doesn't collapse. So all the technical side, along with creating spaces that are enjoyable and comfortable and work. They have the space that functions for you, and that balance of getting all the technical stuff as well as the enjoyable space, creating that space, it's not easy to do. And whilst you may be able to learn how to do it, every architect has learned how to do it. There are very few people who start studying architecture and they're totally capable of designing buildings without any issue. It's a skill that you can learn, and a skill that all architects have learned, but it's not an easy skill to learn. And if you've got your normal day-to-day life going on, then you don't need to learn it. It's not, if you've got a toothache, you're not going to then start to study dentistry to figure out how you can pull your tooth out and fix your toothache. Whilst you can do that, you can tie a string around your tooth and to the door handle and slam the door shut to try and pull your tooth out, which was the sort of approach that people took decades ago. Possibly in some places they still do that, but it's not going to be the most pain-free way of doing it, and it's not necessarily going to be the most effective way, or actually might not solve your problem at all, because it might be something else that is causing that pain. So never thought I'd say have a dentistry analogy, but yeah, DIYing your home design, whilst you can do it, is not necessarily going to solve the problem for you in the most effective way, and it's something that you can pay somebody else to do. So it's not the best use of your time. A client I had once used to say, only do what only you can do. And as a client, you have a really important role to play as a homeowner, as somebody trying to create your home and make it better. You have a really important role to play, and that role is a role that nobody else can play. So it's best to focus on what only you can do, and then pay other people to do all the other bits for you, and get the people who are going to do it as better, and that's the best way to take your project forward. Obviously, I'm biased being an architect. Of course, that's what I'm going to say. But you know, it is true. You're not gonna get the best result by doing it yourself. You are going to get a better result if you employ someone who's an expert at doing it and has the skills and has the years of experience and can do it for you. And then the third thing that I see people doing a lot is trying to agree what the solution should be. And this is a little bit that DIYing the design, so trying to figure out the design and what the design solution should be, and trying to agree that before you've got the problem identified. So if you don't really know clearly what the problem is, then it's very difficult to solve it. And this is like the key thing that you can do when you're looking to redesign your home, is actually get really, really, really clear on what it is you want, what it is you need, what it is that you desire the most, how you want to live your life in the future, you know, what are the outcomes that you want from this project. That's the fundamental thing that only you can do, only you can decide that. And so getting clear on that's like the problem. I don't like to say it's the problem. It's not it seems really negative thing to say, but the situation that you're at and the outcome that you want to define that outcome, but you don't need to design the solution to define the outcome. They're two separate things, and you need to define the outcome, what you want to get out of it first, and then design the solution to provide that outcome. So this, I know, is something that very, very few architects, if any, will help you to do, because most don't really know how to help you with this. And a lot of architects who are involved in that kind of creating a brief, or the brief is sort of like the set of requirements, what your outcome is, defined. That's what architects call it, your brief. But very few architects who work with homeowners really go about the process in this way. They don't tend to help you to create your brief first. And it's only really when you're looking at very big practices where you've got architects who are doing sort of public consultation exercises and working with big businesses, where they start to do a whole brief creation exercise as a primary thing and then start to design. But very few architects who work with homeowners do that, and certainly nobody who's not an architect does this, because it's not really part of their vocabulary, and they don't really understand how to do that. So the key thing is to prepare for your home redesign by defining what the outcome needs to be. So I call this creating your vision, designing your home vision. And I have a free checklist. It's a bit more than a checklist really, it's like a little bit of a workbook that you can then work through and start the process for creating your vision for your home, that then can be the basis for a design that somebody else can do for you, whether that's me or anybody else. That's how you are going to get the best solution, and it's how you're going to make the best use of your time. So if you'd like to get hold of the Design Your Home Vision checklist, the free checklist workbook that you can get and download and use to get you started, then the link is in the description and of this video, and you can click on that link and put your name, put your email there, and then you will get an email which will give you the link for you to download that. So that is what I recommend you do to start your project off in the right way, making the best use of your time, being really efficient and effective with your time, so that you can then, you know, go off and binge watch Netflix, or, you know, what other, something enjoyable or something much more important that you have to do, because I'm sure you have plenty of things to do with your time, and you don't need to spend it wasting years of your life living in a home that you don't enjoy, or spending years of your life going round and round and round and round in conversation with your other half, trying to figure out what to do. Set your outcomes first. Design your home vision first. That gives you the foundation for making your project happen, and it can then be designed, and you can then get the successful outcome that you want and get that home that will support you in living your version of your best life. Okay, I hope this has helped, and please comment below if you have you created your home vision, or what else have you been doing? What have you done so far to prepare for your home redesign? Let me know below. I'd really love to know. Bye for now.